Welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy. If you are new here, welcome. Please make sure and like, comment, subscribe. Before I get too deep into my video, my 13-year-old wanted me to make sure that you all knew she was amazing. So she's amazing. My kids are pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. But I actually have to go pick up one of those children at 11 p.m. from work. So I decided, why not do a little video while I was waiting, because when I was recovering, I had someone share a video with me, and whoa, I was like, maybe I was too under the influence of my medications. Did I hear that? I did hear that. I'm hoping we can make it in one video, but I may have to split it up. We'll see how long this goes and how much I have to say, because there's going to be a lot. So we've already, when we start into the call, it's a training call, and it's already started because I cut out the beginning part. It's all recognition, team business, that type of thing. We really didn't want to listen to that. So we're going to start right with the speaker. So I will introduce the speaker. Hopefully I can do it justice. So the speaker is going to be Danielle Natoni. Danielle is also known as Fit and Funky, and I believe that's her team name as well. She is a double superstar diamond, which means she has been a 15-star diamond in 2 separate business centers. There's not very many, just so you know. Like, being a superstar diamond, and then once you get into like double and triple, that's big. She has been in the network for a really long time. And when you see her, if you have done any Beachbody programs, you will know Danielle. She is in most of Shanti's programs from the beginning of Insanity, and that one she actually is in with her husband. I believe they met while filming that. Insanity Max 30, she is the modifier. And then she also was the format expert for Insanity Live. So she would create the choreography for the live classes that would happen at gyms. So the group fitness classes, she was over Insanity. Totally makes sense. She is incredibly fit, hence the Fit and Funky. And the other thing, I don't know if she's going to talk about her background, but she does have a teaching background, which is nice because she's pretty good at training. And so you'll notice as you, hold on, I'm going to flip this real quick. You'll notice as you listen to the Beachbody coaches that oftentimes they're not fantastic. Like, they're not great at public speaking, leadership, that type of thing, because they truly are untrained. I mean, really. And a lot of them, the only training that they get is either from the company, or they will go to like Tony Robbins events or whatever it may be. And they'll go to those events and will get their training that way. The problem I have is when the company does all of the training for you, that's all you know. You don't get a very good, well-rounded, I guess, education in a lot of the different aspects of corporate life. So if you have done any corporate training, then you'll know that. You'll know that it's fascinating to get outside perspectives and that aren't just driven by business. So let's get in and hear from Danielle.
August, right? So anyway, today though, I do want to talk to you about 10 reasons why your business or your coach's business may not be where you want it at. So if you're like, my business is rocking, then insert your coaches, because you're going to hear this, right? So like, if you're like, oh my gosh, my business is so good, I'm on my A game, you're going to have coaches who tell you these same excuses all throughout your business. And I hope you know that. I would say 93% of the people who come onto our teams and in our challenge groups are so incredible. But
okay, I like her made up statistic, 93%. I'm not sure where she got that number. I would love to see some sources on that. But I disagree, because if 93% were rocking and amazing, then I would think the income disclosure would look quite a bit differently than it does. And the other thing that bothers me is just right out of the gate, they always identify them as excuses instead of reasons. Some of them are not excuses. It's just like, it is what it is. This is the reason I can't do it. But rather than respect that, they minimize it.
there's that 5% that really make you work for it and are a little entitled, who really feel like it should just be handed to them, like you should do all the work. And so whatever I share, if that doesn't feel like it's you, then I want you to think about what I'm saying as it reflects to a coach that you currently have or that you may have in the future. So reason number one, your business or your coach's business may not be where it's at, is because your upline stinks. Now, I know that's not true for y'all, because you're on Jess Duke's team and she's simply incredible. But even Jess will have a coach who thinks it's all Jess's fault that their business is not where it should be. We all have it. And I bet you Jess has even let it for just a moment sneak into her brain and think, is it my fault? Could I have done more? But here's the thing. I feel like coaching is very similar to parenting. Now, my oldest daughter is entering her sophomore year at the University of Arkansas, Blue Pig Suey, and her freshman year of college, as much as I would have loved to, I couldn't go to her dorm room every morning and make sure she woke up or wore something other than her pajama pants to class. I couldn't make sure that she was actually using the money I was giving for her towards food and not alcohol, right? Because my job as a parent was to get her to that point. Early on, I brushed her teeth for her, and then she learned to brush them on her own. And now, hopefully, all these years later, it's automatic and she knows that every single day she has to brush her dang teeth. The same is true with coaching. Your upline, or for you as an upline to your coaches, your job is not to still brush their teeth for them. Your job in the beginning is to show them the way and to help them, and little by little release so that they can spread their wings and fly. Now, I have some super amazing leaders on my team. Ashley Molstad, top coach, two-time top coach in the network. Lori Stewart. Like, I have some like big coaches, amazing. You know what? They're not on my team calls. They have their own team calls. But when they do something well, they call me and ask me to celebrate with them. When they have a question, they call me and we work through it together. Your job as an upline is not to be somebody's boss. Your job is to be a mentor and to be there to celebrate with them, to cheer them on, and to pick them up when they fall down. It is that person's responsibility. That is why we are all independent Team Beachbody coaches. I don't know about you, but I can't call myself a boss babe. No offense, I think Hector was his name, a boss bro. I can't call myself a boss babe if I'm acting like an employee. An employee says, tell me what to do, where to do, when to do it, how to do it, and why to do it. A CEO says, I'll figure it out and I'll ask you questions along the way. So please never feel guilty for the lack of somebody else's success. My kind of mantra to myself is, I'm going to provide all the things that I can so that I can put my head on my pillow at night and know that I did a good job. But ultimately, everybody's success is up to them. Some of our most successful coaches in the network don't have an upline to speak of. Lindsay Matway will tell you, former top coach, right? Superstar 4, she did not have an upline. It is on you to build your business. I once heard a sentence, the same sentence, but with different punctuation. It kind of explains what we do really great. I will help you build your business, period. Or I will help, period, capital U, build your business. Write those two sentences down. That's the difference between an employee and a CEO. An employee, I will help you build your business. A CEO, I will help You build your business. That's the two differences. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about reason number 1. I have a lot of concerns with this. Part of it is, she said a CEO will just figure it out. Well, the CEO also, unless you're like maybe born into it, you have obtained some schooling, some on-the-job training, management training. You kind of work your way to that position and you're learning on that way and you're gaining skills. What they're expecting their coaches to do, it's just jump in and do it. And I don't know if any of you, please comment below if this was your experience, but mine was like, go look on YouTube, figure it out. Okay. Or they would be, well, once you hit this rank, then I will help you. Okay, but how do I hit that rank? So she said, employees want to know, when, where, how, why. I think the coaches need to know that as well, because the problem that I'm seeing, especially with this 4-week gut protocol, the coaches are definitely outside their scope of practice. They are not equipped to do these things, but because they have zero guidance from the company on it, they are stepping so far out of what they should be doing that it's crazy. And it is not the coach's fault. It is the company's fault, in my opinion. And, talking about leaders, so not my direct upline, not great. My second one from there definitely means well, but again, not a lot of business training. She and I did a lot of cool things together. But I don't think at that level, of being able to effectively run a business. Right? Her upline did. She was great at running the business, not necessarily on the people side. So you get all of this, and then her upline would blatantly falsify before and after pictures and is continuing to do that to this day, which drives me insane. But they need that. And on almost every training call that you do, it's all theoretical and it's all, this is what you should be doing. And it's the fluff. And it's so frustrating because yes, I do want to know how to do it. You're not telling me how to do it. You aren't telling me that it matters so much where I place my coaches in my potential compensation. You didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me where I was placed in your downline so that I could accurately judge my potential, because my potential income was greatly reduced because I was put on a weak leg. It's just the way it was. So I really disagree with this.
Reason number 2, your business or your coach's business may not be where they want it to be. There's not enough training. You guys, we overtrain. I'm sorry, we do. We really overtrain.
I will agree with her. So I was going to stop at the end of each one, but I don't think I can do that. No, I do agree that you overtrain on soft skills, on how to talk to the customer, how to do these different things. But when it comes to the basics of the job, of the like I said, how to place people and how to do these things, how to effectively do social media, those skills are not taught.
I feel, in my personal and humble opinion, right? Why does a new coach feel overwhelmed to begin with? Because we're like, hey, welcome to Team Beachbody. Please watch 97 videos, go to YouTube, listen to this call, and right? It's like, how many calls and groups and trainings can you be in? And what happens is, people get in training paralysis. So when you get on a call with them and they're like, oh, I really want to, be a diamond or this or that. And they're like, I don't get it. I'm watching every YouTube video. I get on every national wake up call. And all they're doing is referencing the watching of trainings. You cannot watch your way into a successful business.
I agree with that. If you are learning things, you have to implement them in order for them to be successful. And I was one of the coaches. When I do something, I am in. I was watching all the YouTube videos. I was doing all of the posts and I was successful. However, nobody taught me about the business end of it. And how many of these coaches do you hear that get totally screwed at tax time because no one's talking to them about it? So I think that it's the way that they're training that needs to be changed. Not that they are training, but maybe they should start looking at some of the what they're training.
This is a take action business. I think it was Carl Eichler who once said that there are certain businesses that are a learn, then do, like a doctor, right? Like you don't want him figuring that out on the operating table, right? You don't want him like, let me see, like we'll cut a little bit here, snip a little bit there. But we, on the other hand, are a do, then learn. You can sign up and like, how many coaches, or have you ever had someone go, this is really funny. A couple months ago, I texted a girl and she had like just joined. I'm like, girl, you like 16 Success Club points. She's like, what is a Success Club point? And you're like, psh, right? So that happens. We're a do, then learn business. So I'm not telling you to not get on trainings. Obviously, you're on the call right now. But a lot of times.
But if you do and then learn, you are going to make so many mistakes. There are things that you need to know beforehand. And it's kind of like the same thing I said with number one. If you are not teaching them, they're going to be rogue coaches doing things that are going to get you in trouble with regulatory environments like the FTC, who, by the way, is waiting for our comments. I believe we have until May 10th. So if you would like information on that, comment down below, and I will also include in the description where you can go to do your comments. But if you are having your coaches learn and then do, you have a better chance of them meeting those regulatory requirements than you do if you're like, just go and do it, and then I'll teach you. That's kind of backwards thinking.
Your coaches are going to come to you. Hey, can you give me a training for this? Is there a training on that? And what they're trying to do is avoid. It is an avoidance tactic. They don't realize it, but essentially what they're saying is watching a training is comfortable. Inviting, talking, sharing, creating is uncomfortable. I want to do what's comfortable, and that's watching a training.
And why is it uncomfortable? Because you don't know how to do it. They will say, here's a script, just use the script and it'll give you everything you need. No, I don't feel like she is accurately portraying many of the coaches. Do some do it as an avoidance tactic? Yes. Is that the majority of them? I don't think so.
So trainings aren't always the answer. I know earlier on in my career, I would say I don't have the fanciest trainings, and that's okay. I keep it very, very simple, because if this business is supposed to be duplicatable, if most people come in as a spouse and a parent working a full-time job, and now we're trying to build this business on the side, the last thing that they need is a whole bunch of homework. They need to just do. They don't have time for all that extra training. What they need to do is get out there and talk to people. So what I want you to understand, that trainings are amazing, but that's bonus. That's extra. I don't feel like trainings count. I actually think I heard Jess say this yesterday, because we did like a little team call, flip flop. And I think she said this, like she didn't count trainings as her like action hour times. Like that didn't count as getting her work done for the day. Trainings, if you're going to be a part of them, need to be done while you're doing dishes, doing the laundry, going for a walk, whatever it is.
But there are just basic things. When I taught, I shouldn't say taught, when I worked in human resources, we would do new hire orientation where we would review all the policies and the procedures, and then our reps would do trainings, and they would vary in length. Some of them were a week, some of them were 6 weeks, some of them were longer, depending on what they were going to be doing. But they had to have some training. Otherwise, they're representing your company very poorly, in my opinion.
Also, if you screenshot me and put me on Instagram, please make sure that I look cute. I saw somebody with their phone up for a second, and nothing hurts my heart more than when you're like, oh my God, she's so inspirational. And then I'm like, I wouldn't do that to you. Friends don't, let friends post ugly Instagram selfies of each other. Okay. Number 3, reason why your business or your coach's business may not be where you want it to be. They just don't know enough people. How many times have you heard that, right? It stops people from signing up. I just don't know that many people. And maybe back when I started in the dinosaur days, when you had to walk barefoot uphill in the snow to get your Shakeology, and there wasn't Instagram stories, maybe, just maybe, I could understand that kind of logic. But in today's world, in this digital world we live in, everybody knows more people than they think they know.
Here's the interesting thing to me, though. When she started, there were maybe 40,000 Beachbody coaches. Now they're saying 400. Keep in mind, they have 400,000. They have not updated that figure. They just keep using that same figure year over year. I would be really interested to see how many coaches they actually do have right now. But then you think of the turnover and you think how many people have been Beachbody coaches. I'm sorry, there are a lot. And I don't know about you guys, but most people that I talk to know at least one Beachbody coach, or at least one Beachbody coach has shown up in their feed. So I do think the market is getting saturated because people are either they know them or they know of them and know to avoid them.
That, again, is just an excuse. And here's what's interesting. You may not know this, but I am what Shalene would call an outgoing introvert. I love to present. I love to be on stage. I love to teach live fitness classes. If at any given moment you said, Danielle, you have to go give a keynote presentation to 10,000 people, I'd be like, cool, wouldn't even sweat. But if Jess said, hey girl, you want to go to dinner with me and 5 coaches on my team, I would literally vomit. I would come up with any excuse possible not to do it. I am very uncomfortable in small settings. Y'all.
That makes a lot of sense because I met her in Punta Cana and she was so uncomfortable. You could tell, and I don't know if it was that like, oh, I don't know who you are. I actually just wanted to tell her that I loved Insanity Live and that I thought she was doing a great job, and it was very uncomfortable.
I've barely left this house since quarantine started. People are like, oh, how's quarantine going? I'm like, fine. This is like awesome for me. Like, I'd only have to look at people digitally. That's great. And that's not that I don't love people. I have just always been, I recharge in private, but I love to give information and personality in public. So when I started this, I didn't have I'm an only child. I didn't have a big family. I only kept like my small little group of friends, but I didn't let that stop me. And actually what being a coach has done has opened up my eyes to saying hi when you're allowed to go out in the real world. I put my phone down and I actually talk to the cashiers at Whole Foods, and I say hi. Literally everybody at Whole Foods knows my husband and I. We can't.
Here's why though. And I started to get this way. Every single person I met, it was, ooh, would they be good on my team? So you kind of do this mind shift. So yeah, I was saying hi to a lot of people because I was always trying to expand my network to potentially get a sale. I wasn't doing it because I really loved those, workers at Whole Foods. It would be, ooh, they may be a contact and I may be able to recruit them.
Go in there without spending like at least an hour just to talking to people, because I've made that my goal. That if I'm going to be a health and fitness coach who connects on social, I also have to connect in real life. And through the power of social media, you guys have the ability to meet as many people as you want. And actually you get to target it and meet the people that you want to meet. And the other thing of it is this. Some people are like, well, I don't really want to grow a big social, or social isn't my jam. Cool, go old school. No one's telling you that you can't invite people over to your garage or to work out outside, but 10 people or less, depending on your state, right? Like no one.
She's saying that because it could potentially be illegal if you don't have the appropriate licensure and insurance.
Saying that you can't do this a little bit more what was called in the old days belly to belly, but you know more people than you think. When you really sit down, if you've not looked this up, in the Coach Online office, there's something super old school called the memory jogger. And you have probably made a list of 100 people before, but I guarantee you, if you do this memory jogger and you do it, you make it a goal to like do it at least a couple times a year, you know more people than you think. It literally goes, do you know anybody in Alabama, Arkansas? Like, and you're like, oh yeah, I know somebody in Alabama, Arkansas, right? And you start going through all these states and jobs. And next thing you know, you may not know their last name, but you know them. And so you know more people than you think.
But do you really know them? You were just going through, do you know anyone named Bob? Yes, I do. And I'm going to approach them with the coaching opportunity. They make it seem like any single person that you know is a contact. And they'll tell you that they are. And it is so predatory. And this is why we had such a bad name and why they still have such a bad name. Like, hey girl, wouldn't talk to you in high school, but just wanted to find out how you're doing and are you working on health and fitness? It's gross. It's gross.
Again, that's fear. Fear says, I don't know enough people. Fear says, isn't it saturated already? No, there's 400,000 coaches in the network. And all of those aren't working coaches. There's what, 375 million or something billion people in the world.
So we're going to now start recruiting elderly, kids, and people in third world countries. Okay.
We're not saturated. It's totally fine. Okay. The number 4 reason kind of goes into what I was just saying. You don't really do social media. Listen, I'm actually on an opposite trajectory of trying to pull back a little bit from social media. So I get that social media can be a lot. It can be challenging. But here's the thing. It is 2020. Everybody does social media. Like, your grandma does social media. Your great grandma is on TikTok. Like, everybody does social media in some way, shape, or form, right? So this idea of you don't really do social media is, again, it's fear of the unknown. Yeah, maybe when you started
But is it knowing that, do you know what? I'm not afraid of doing this on social, but it feels gross to be putting my kid's face all over my social or trying to manipulate every situation to put it on social. And some things you don't want to share with the world. So as you start using your platform to try and build a business, it can get really uncomfortable. So I don't think that it's a bad thing.
Maybe when your new coach started, they barely had an account, and from time to time they post their cat. So now it's just like anything else. I don't know about you, but Facebook and Instagram remind me every single day with their little memories of just how terrible my social media was, especially on Facebook. Oh my God. I'm like, and because back then, the recommendation was to post at least 6 times a day on Facebook. And I was a school teacher, couldn't have it show posted at, right? While I was at school. So I used to use this app called Hootsuite. And I would literally, before I'd go to work, I'd come up with 6 posts to go out intermittently throughout the day. You guys, they're the absolute worst. I open that app every morning with one eye, oh my God, how did I even grow my business? But guess what? I grew my business. Just shared something very similar on my team call yesterday. She said she posted just a graphic, a corporate graphic, to her social. Guess what? People responded to it. But fear tells us, I don't do social media. I don't have presets. I don't have this. I don't have that. Guess what? Everybody grew their social the same way. 1 post at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 follower at a time. And the only way to get better at social media is to suck at it at first. Is it scary? Absolutely. It's totally scary. But you know what? I wouldn't know some of my best friends. Obviously they're coaches on my team, but literally my best friends I would have never met if it weren't for social. So on those days where social feels tough or it's hard or I feel like I'm sucking at it, I remind myself that social media is something I get to do, not something I have to do. And when I reframe it that way, it helps me understand that social media is a blessing. Back in the dinosaur days, even before me, other network marketing companies, you guys, had to get flip boards and ask people to meet them at Starbucks or a local Hilton to put a name tag on and do a presentation. You get to do it in your yoga pants at home with your hair on top of your head post workout. Social media is epic. It's just like with anything else. You're gonna have to mess it up before you can make it great.
But again, that 6 post thing, we weren't told, I don't think we were told 6. I think we were told 3 to 5. And it was an inspirational thought before your workout that you got in your personal development, a workout selfie or video, and then something relatable during the day that would apply to your niche. And it got really hard to come up with content. It did. And especially the workout ones, I'm I don't want to post another sweaty selfie. They don't care that I am doing Insanity Max 30. They don't care that I got up early and worked out. But you would somehow have to make it inspirational and make it work. I will say I actually do enjoy writing, and so my posts aren't horrible. But the things that bother me are when I go back and look at them and it's constantly beating myself up for not doing as much as I thought I should be doing.
Okay, the number 5 reason that your business or your coach's business isn't where you'd like for it to be is you just don't have enough time. Like, there's nobody busier than you. You are the absolute busiest person you know. We're all busy, right? And everybody's perception is their reality. But the reality is, you've heard it before, if you don't make time for it, it's just not a priority for you. And that's okay. I think sometimes too, we have an idea.
Is it okay, or are you going to sit there and shame us for it?
In our head that all our coaches should want it as bad as we do, and they don't, and that's fine. Like, if I have a coach who literally just wants to do this for the discount and never wants to sell anything, cool. If I have a coach who's super busy and really feels like they can only like sell a challenge pack here or there, cool. I'm gonna meet them where they're at. But if they tell me, oh, I want this to become my full-time income, I want to stay home, I want to be an equal contributor in my family, then you have to make the time for this. When I started, I was a full-time elementary school teacher. I had a different spouse, and he was not supportive of Beachbody. My kids were very small, and I started teaching group fitness and personal training. So I was teaching like 16 group fitness classes a week, and I was personal training before and after school.
That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous amount. I cannot even imagine how hard it was on her body. And also for me, with the thing that got frustrating for me with teaching group fitness is that if I'm teaching an hour-long class, well, I have to plan an additional hour onto that. I had to drive to the gym. I had to get the class set up and get ready, teach the class, put everything away, come home, shower. Like, it would take a lot of time. I don't know how she did 16 classes plus personal training.
But I made time for this business. And you want to know what? I was a rock star back then. The busier I was, I felt like the more productive I was because I had no choice. I literally had no choice but to use my time as smart as possible. So if you want this business, if you want to be diamond, 2-star, 5-star, superstar, whatever it is, you have enough time. You just haven't found it. And I'm here to tell you that I am a coach, a successful coach who watches Netflix, okay? Now, but I did not back then. I have now afforded myself the time to watch Netflix. I will never tell somebody that, oh, in order to stay successful, you can't watch Schitt's Creek, because that show is funny and everybody should watch it. Ew. So.
Although, didn't they do a whole episode about network marketing?
And if you're like, I don't get it, you have to go watch it. But in the beginning, I gave up everything. So elementary school teachers love happy hour. We used to call it choir practice. So everyone would send out an email like, who's going to choir practice this Friday at 4? And then we'd be like, oh, choir practice is going to be at Chili's this week. I stopped going to choir practice, y'all, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to make this business work, I gave up choir practice. I gave up eating in the teacher's lounge. I got up at 4 and I went to bed at midnight, because that is what.
That is not healthy. It is not healthy to get 4 hours of sleep. And now they're paying for it. I mean, I understand saying we all have the same amount of time. No, we don't. No, we don't. When I had like younger kids, my time was ridiculously busy. And I didn't even know what I had done by the end of the day, because it was non-stop. If you turned your back, they were in something, and it was just this constant wheel. Now I have more time because my kids are at school and they're older and they can take care of themselves. So can I compare myself to a new mom with 4 kids under 6? No, we do not have the same amount of time. And it's not fair to make people think that they do.
So time is relative, and it is what you make of it. So you have enough time if you want it to work.
Of course you want it to work, but at what cost? At what cost? Your relationships? Your sanity? There's a lot to be said about taking time to sit down and watch a movie with your spouse. And I always would tell my husband, okay, we're going to sit down and watch this, but I'm going to just be working while we watch it. Would be halfway through the movie and I'd be like, what are we watching? What is this? Because I was so checked out. And it's actually funny. I mentioned to my kids today, I had I think two or three of them were at home, of the older kids. And I made a comment, hey, someone asked if I would do a video with the family about how me being in Beachbody impacted you. And they all were like, you were totally checked out. You were not present. You were not here. You were not like plugged into the family. And that's really hard to hear. So you can be successful, but at what cost? Right? That's what I want to say to her. At what cost? All of your relationships? Like, I'm not willing to do that.
Okay, the number.
Okay, so it's I've done 35 minutes. So I think we're going to have to break this into 2 videos because I've got a lot to say on some of the other ones because the juicy ones are coming up. But it's just interesting the amount of shame and guilt and gaslighting that goes on in these calls, and you end up leaving thinking, you're right. It's all me. It's all me. The things that I am doing, that's why I'm not successful. Not, this is a crappy business model and very few people can be successful. That's not what you're telling yourself after the end of these training calls. It's, oh my gosh, I suck. I have to do more. I need to quit doing trainings and just start messaging all the people. I need to sleep less. It doesn't make sense. And it is so hard to listen to these calls because I would have been all bought in, writing down notes and ending this call thinking, yes, she gave me so much fire. No, this is a dumpster fire that will contribute to stress, anxiety, exhaustion, ruining relationships, and just making you crazy. So that's all I have for today because we're going to do 6 through 10 on the next video. Make sure and subscribe, like, comment, all the things so that you can get part 2. And I promise it won't be long. It'll just be a day or 2 before that one comes out. It'll just take me a bit to edit them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your comments down below. And if you kind of resonated with the things that she said, or some of the things that I said, and really just trying to find a happy medium, and there is no happy medium in network marketing. So I hope you all have an amazing time. It is getting so past my bedtime, which is why my eyes are like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. It is definitely past my bedtime. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever time it is, and I will see you on the next video.